Welcome back. You're still watching Fut-Afrique, and we're still talking to the world-class analyst that Fut-Afrique has just signed for an undisclosed fee of 1.5 million rand. Mr. SC, wow, what a week for Mamelodi Sundowns. First, they're beating Orlando Pirates, and then T.S Galaxy, in the words of Erling Haaland, getting humbled.
I don't know if
T.S Galaxy rather is humbling.
Yeah, I think T.S Galaxy humbled Sundowns, but before we get into the T.S Galaxy game, you need to look at what Sundowns brought into the Pirates game. I think Pirates were shocked. They started off the game very slow. I think they were scared of Sundowns, and you can tell in the first 15 minutes how they pushed the game, playing long balls, couldn't play out of their 18 area. The zone 14 was just something difficult for Pirates.
Can we blame the pitch? Pitch at Loftus, really.
You know what I find strange about this conversation of blaming the pitch is that a lot of teams that have played Sundowns, even before the days of Cardoso, while Peter was still there, he would ask the guys that are doing the pitch, that guys, please wet the pitch. We need the pitch to be wet so that the ball can flow. And Pirates comes into this game, they want to complain about the pitch. And you look at during the cooling break, they were changing their boots. It clearly says that they had the boots when they were doing a pitch inspection. Couldn't they have seen that the pitch is wet? It's a question that we need to also look at and say, you can't point the finger at Sundowns and say, hey, guys, your pitch was wet. Ideally, the pitch was not the kind of hybrid pitch they talk about. Sundowns speaks of this hybrid pitch. It wasn't a hybrid pitch that much. But I think the game went well.
But that's what I was going to ask you, that did it rob us of a beautiful game? Because these are two teams that love to play free-flowing football, beautiful football. And maybe that was disrupted a bit because you saw defenders falling all over the show.
I actually disagree with that statement. You know why I'm saying I disagree with it, Adi? You look at the goals that Sundowns scored, irrespective of the first goal. You look at Ribeiro's goal when he took the ball from the center line.
Lovely
and
goal.
Pushed it into the Pirates' half and the final third, and he scored. You look at the Pirates' goal that they scored, the number of passes they had in between the Sundowns players. It then tells you that the pitch was playable. As much as it was a slippery pitch, Pirates could still play. If Sundowns managed to score 4 goals, it leaves a question to say, was it really that bad that you couldn't play? Let's stop blaming the pitch and look at the tactic side of it and say, Sundowns came with a plan and it worked, and Pirates didn't really prepare for this match, in my opinion.
Oh, wow. I was going to talk to you about basically, was it a bad day in the office for Pirates, or is it really an indication that the two teams have different philosophies in the transfer market? We saw Mamelodi Sundowns, even though they have good players in each position, it seemed like they were still willing to improve on positions. Adams, for example, we saw his impact, and also Suarez at the back. Do you think Orlando Pirates need to do more? This match has shown us that they're not as deep as they should be to compete at the top level.
That's a very good question, because now when you look at a Pirates team, it then says they are now falling into the space where Sundowns says we don't sign names, we sign profiles. And now Pirates is heading into this direction. But what I found very interesting with Jose was that in this window, he didn't ideally say, I want to go out and chase probably your Apollos, your Matuludi. These are players that are playing in the PSL, and you look at that and you say, is he sure about the number of players that he has? Is he sure about the depth that he has in his team? When you look at a Sundowns team that says, we'll go out there and fetch a Suarez, we'll go out there and fetch an Adams, that clearly states that this team is preparing, and not only preparing for the league. Remember that Sundowns is going to a Club World Cup. They are looking ahead and saying, we need to compete at all levels. And I love the ideology behind what Cardoso had brought in to say, we're going to send a lot of players out because we need the minutes. And you do not blame them per se when he comes with that mindset to say, if a Maboe is not playing at a Sundowns team, let's take him to a SuperSport team to see if he can get the minutes. And Maboe himself saying to the coach, look, coach, I want you to see the type of player that I am, to see if you can install me into your team going into the Club World Cup. We don't know the dynamics of that in terms of if he's going to be moving back to the team come the Club World Cup. We don't know what happens in that space. But again, going back to a Pirates team, Mbata was injured in this game. He wasn't available. A huge factor in this game. Because I think Makaula, prior to this game, he had faced a Kaizer Chiefs team. You look at that psychologically, it took a lot out of him. he's not the only player that this thing actually affected.
So bad day at the office for Orlando Pirates, or golf in class between Mamelodi Sundowns and Orlando Pirates?
No, you have to separate the men from the boys from the men. You know, I think if you look at the 7 years, the domination that Sundowns has had, when we talk about domination, we're literally talking about what happened on this day.
Quickly, the T.S Galaxy game, because football will humble you. It will kill you a real death. What happened? Was it Mamelodi Sundowns just taking their opponents for granted?
The interesting thing again, when you look at this, Adelani actually came into this game with a plan. And I think he looked at the Pirates game, and he looked at how Sundowns applied himself. And if you look at that, you actually swap it around. What T.S Galaxy did is exactly what Sundowns did to Pirates. And in this case, T.S Galaxy knew that they cannot go pound to pound with Sundowns. And what they did, they said, we'll sit back and hit you on the break.
Oh, man. Wow. This is just incredible, man. And this is the part of the show, really, that we switch our attention from the PSL to what is happening out in England. Let me give you my 3 African diamonds shining on the shores of England in the FA Cup. Coming in at number 3 is Adelani of Tunisia and Burnley. Second tier, Burnley completed one of the surprise results of the FA Cup 4th round when they won away at Southampton. Marcus Edwards scored the only goal of the game for Burnley, but the goal was made in Africa by Tunisia's Adelani, whose superb touch and pass into the 6-yard box was controlled by the debutant and smashed into the back of the net. It is the second assist of the season for Mejbri, who joined Burnley from Manchester United for the start of the season. Coming in at number 2 is Super Eagles star Taiwo Awoniyi. Awoniyi was handed a rare start by Nuno Santo and rewarded his coach's faith in him by giving the Premier League outfit a halftime lead against League One side Exeter. Sadly, the match ended on a sad note for the Nigerian international. There are fears that the Nigerian international has sustained a serious neck injury after a terrible collision. Awoniyi was applauded by both fans as he was stretchered off the field. Coming in at number 1 this week is the Black Star of Bournemouth. Tearing down the EPL at the moment is Antoine Semenyo. The Ghanaian international is in red-hot form, and he both won and converted a penalty as Bournemouth defeated Everton 2-0 to advance to the 5th round of the FA Cup. Semenyo now has 7 goals and 3 assists in the league this season and has now scored twice in the FA Cup. So that rounds up my African diamonds shining in England. Let's see who makes the list next week.